As President Trump vows to void all orders signed with the Biden Autopen, Rod D. Martin joins us to discuss what's next. And one man's 27-year journey is almost complete. Back in 1998, he set out to travel the entire world on foot. More on his harrowing, one-of-a-kind journey.
This is NTD Evening News, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tiffany Meyer. A snowy Thanksgiving weekend is causing massive flight delays. Snowfall in Chicago even broke records. Winter weather alerts stretched from South Dakota to New York. The snowfall led to car accidents, including a 45-car pileup on a highway in Indiana on Saturday. On Chicago area expressways, police reported almost 500 crashes. 8.4 inches of snow were recorded at Chicago's O'Hare Airport on Saturday. That makes it the snowiest November day in Chicago history. According to FlightAware, O'Hare Airport is also currently experiencing the highest percentage of flight delays. Today, over 7,400 flights entering, leaving, or traveling within the U.S. have been reported delayed, with hundreds of cancellations. In Iowa, snow caused a Delta plane to skid off a runway during landing. The Des Moines airport recorded 10.9 inches of snow. From a solemn week in Washington marked by the deadly shooting of 2 National Guardsmen to a lighter Thanksgiving tradition at the White House and a sweeping new executive order on artificial intelligence. NTD's Dana Monahan has your White House week in review.
2 National Guardsmen were shot this week near the White House.
This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation.
I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says suspect Ramanal Alakamal was among Afghans mass paroled into the U.S. in 2021 under Operation Allies Welcome.
Our unprecedented, historic effort to resettle in the United States tens of thousands of Afghan nationals.
National Guard member Sarah Beckstrom later died from her wounds.
Started service in June of 2023. Outstanding in every way. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. She's looking down at us right now.
Peace negotiations to end the Russia-Ukraine war continued this week.
Our team, together with American representatives this week, yet at the end of it, will continue to push forward the points that we worked out as a result of talks in Geneva.
A federal judge dismissed criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence.
The judicial process can make whatever determination it wants, but we, the FBI, and our partners at the DOJ have numerous options to proceed.
President Trump said the U.S. would expand efforts to curb Venezuelan drug trafficking, not only at sea, but now by land.
People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea, and we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon. We warned them, stop sending poison to our country.
President Trump carried out the annual tradition of pardoning turkeys before Thanksgiving.
Gobble, I just want to tell you this, very important. You are hereby unconditionally pardoned. Praise the Lord.
Gobble and Waddle got a taste of luxury, spending time in the Willard Hotel before heading to the White House. The President and the First Lady departed to Palm Beach to celebrate Thanksgiving. Vice President J.D. Vance and his family took a hands-on approach, serving Thanksgiving meals to troops at Fort Campbell in Kentucky. President Trump signed an executive order launching the Genesis mission that he compared to a modern Manhattan Project.
Genesis mission will transform how science is done in America, uniting our brightest minds, most powerful computers, and vast scientific data into one living system for discovery.
The measure aims to speed breakthroughs in fields like biotechnology, quantum science, energy, semiconductors, and national security. And gas prices sat near a 4-year low as Americans hit the road for the Thanksgiving holiday. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
The House Armed Services Committee is asking for full accounting after a strike on a suspected drug boat. The request comes after a news article reported that the Secretary of War allegedly ordered the military to kill everybody on board. The Washington Post report refers to a September 2nd strike. It says 2 people were left clinging to a boat in waters off the Caribbean after the military struck it. It says Secretary Hegseth ordered the military to kill the survivors. Secretary Pete Hegseth called the report fake news and said all strikes on drug boats have been lawful. So far, the military has conducted 21 strikes on drug boats in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean. President Trump has suggested the strikes could take place on land at some point. A high-ranking U.S. delegation meeting with Ukrainian representatives for peace talks in Florida today. Rubio says the U.S. now has to bring Russia on board and find a middle ground between Moscow's and Kyiv's goals. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pasdar has more.
We want the Ukrainian people to emerge from this war, not just to rebuild their country, but to build it back in a way that will be stronger and more prosperous than it's ever been.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio giving a press conference on Sunday afternoon after meeting with Ukrainian representatives in Florida. Also at the meeting were Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Sunday's meeting sets the stage for talks with Russia. President Vladimir Putin says Moscow is ready for serious discussions and that the outlines reached by the US and Ukraine could serve as a basis for agreements to end the fighting. According to Rubio, the US and Ukraine made good progress during Sunday's meeting and during an initial summit in Geneva last weekend. But he acknowledges that Moscow still has to agree to the plans made between Washington and Kyiv.
And that'll continue later this week when Mr. Witkoff travels to Moscow, although we've also been in touch in varying degrees with the Russian side, but we have a pretty good understanding of their views as well. So much work remains.
He highlighted that the goal is not just to end the fighting, but to make sure that peace remains and that Ukraine can be prosperous in the future. A big part of that is to make sure Ukraine has security guarantees from the West. Ukraine's former lead negotiator, Andrew Yermak, resigned this week amid a corruption scandal. The Ukrainian side sent its former defense minister, Rustem Umerov, to lead Sunday's negotiations. Umerov expressed his gratitude towards Washington for supporting Kyiv's goals.
We were discussing about the future of Ukraine. We discussed all the important matters that are important for Ukraine, for Ukrainian people, and U.S. was super supportive.
The next step of the peace process is for Witkoff to travel to Russia next week. Arian Pasdar, NTD News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is asking Israel's president to pardon him. The leader is tied to 3 cases that have stretched out into a 5-year trial. The request comes a couple of weeks after President Trump also asked President Isaac Herzog to pardon Netanyahu. The Israeli president's office said the pardon would have severe implications and that it is under consideration. Netanyahu says he believes a pardon of his corruption cases would help heal divisions in Israeli society. He also said it's not realistic to expect him to fulfill current court requirements. He is supposed to appear in court 3 times a week to testify, and he says that is impossible given the current security reality facing Israel. The death toll in Hong Kong has risen to 146 as of this afternoon after a massive fire at a high-rise apartment complex. City residents mourned the loss on Saturday. Authorities arrested 14 people in connection with the blaze as they investigate possible corruption and the use of unsafe materials during renovations at the Wong Fu Court complex. Vanessa Chen has more.
As Hong Kong began a 3-day mourning period on Saturday after a catastrophic fire at a housing estate, authorities said they had arrested more than a dozen people in connection with the tragedy. The blaze, which tore through 7 high-rise blocks of the Wong Fu Court complex on Wednesday, was the city's deadliest in nearly 80 years.
We expected that when
police warned the death toll of more than 120 was likely to rise, with 150 people still missing as of Saturday. An officer told reporters no bodies were found after 2 of the towers were searched. though several pets were rescued. The arrests came as authorities investigated possible corruption and the use of unsafe materials during the renovations at the complex. Reports have also emerged that Wanfo Court residents had repeatedly raised safety concerns over the works. More than a year ago, some had voiced worries about fire hazards, including the potential flammability of the protective mesh around the buildings, the city's labor department told Reuters. It said authorities at the time told them they faced, quote, relatively low fire risks. However, police said on Thursday materials used in the renovations were, quote, suspected of not meeting fire safety standards. Public anger over the fire has been muted, a stark contrast to mass pro-democracy protests of 2019 that prompted Beijing to tighten its grip on the city. But the reports of the complaints have shaken the city's residents.
Hong Kong is supposed to be a civilized society. How come there's nobody checking around or inspecting things? Only after so many people have died and buildings have collapsed does the government finally speak up. Even the fire alarm didn't go off. Isn't that tragic?
And also, we just like to hope there will be a thorough investigation and inquiry to make sure tragic of this scale that has caused a lot of lives will be avoided and prevented in the future.
Some frustrated volunteers handed out flyers near the estate, demanding government accountability. They also called for an independent probe into possible corruption, proper resettlement for residents, and a review of construction oversight.
Coming up, President Trump announcing a slew of anti-immigration policy proposals following the deadly shooting in D.C. The Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies joins us to discuss. And could water rival wine in taste and appeal? A food anthropologist explains why he traded his passion for wine for the surprisingly complex world of H2O. More on that in just a minute here on NTD News.
That truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. See it at least once in your lifetime. Shenyun. Get tickets now at shenyun.com.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out, and I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're going to benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.
MixFix is a custom formulated, full-spectrum organic detox product to achieve better health and overall function. It's not just the longevity of life, but quality of life. There are other products out there, but they lack the quality that MixFix provides. Detoxifying your body 3 to 4 times per year may be the single most important thing you can do, and our detox mix was designed specifically to do it and do it right. Just scan the QR code and detox your body today.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. In the aftermath of the deadly shooting in D.C., President Trump announcing new anti-immigration policy proposals. On Friday, the State Department ordered a hold on issuing visas to Afghan passport holders, and the U.S. has paused all asylum applications. The USCIS also announced a review of applicants from 19 high-risk countries, including Afghanistan, Iran, and Cuba. Joining us to unpack all of this is Jessica Vaughn, Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you. Now, President Trump vowing in a long truth post, in part to remove those deemed not a net asset to the United States or incapable of loving the country, adding only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. First, how would that work in practice?
Well, what the president is talking about is a strategically targeted review of certain types of categories of people who were allowed to enter the country under the Biden administration, under what we know were very lenient vetting standards. And it's targeted toward, first of all, people from Afghanistan who were evacuated in a very chaotic way. It's also people who were granted asylum because there are concerns that some of those approvals perhaps were not done correctly, that not enough time was taken to make sure that they qualified and that they were not a risk, and also to examine more thoroughly applicants from about 19 countries that are deemed to be of potentially more risk than other countries because of conditions in those countries, connections to terrorism, and frankly, problems that we have had recently from the very large increase in immigration that occurred under the Biden administration.
And expanding on that, along with the enhanced screening and the pause in asylum cases, how big of a policy shift would this be if it is all implemented?
Well, it's a dramatic shift from the policies of the Biden administration. But what the Trump administration is doing is really applying the law and trying to meet the increased challenge that we have now from threats around the world, and to mitigate the problems that were created under the overly lenient policies of the Biden administration, in which we saw historic increases in illegal immigration. I mean, there were more than 8 million people who were allowed to enter the country, who came in illegally or were admitted even though they did not qualify for legal immigration. So that's, and they were not really thoroughly vetted, as we're finding out, unfortunately, now, particularly from Afghanistan. So this is really a correction that is being implemented. It's really a very prudent change in policy from before, but it's really nothing new for the Trump administration.
And Jessica, in terms of the Afghan pause and vetting, some advocacy groups are now raising concerns that Lachenwall is painting all Afghans in a negative light, pointing to the help many Afghans provided in the war against terror. What is your response to that?
Well, look, there have been some very serious problems that have been uncovered by both congressional and government investigations into Operation Allies Welcome because of the discovery that the Biden administration chose to not do all of the background checks on people that would be typical under a refugee program or under the special immigrant visa program. And at one point, they had found almost 7,000 people who had derogatory information, and they're finding this out after they've been allowed to enter the United States. And so, we've seen so many incidents from people who came in under the Afghan evacuation who've been causing problems, either terrorist plots or criminal problems or other sorts of problems that, we need to deal with. We cannot just sweep this under the rug. It's too important to keep Americans safe. We've got to address and reevaluate all of these cases.
And really quickly on that, given that these people are already in the country, how hard will it be to vet all of them now?
Well, it's not easy. But since they've been living here, we can examine what they've been doing since they got here. We are not really going to be able to do much find out much about what they were doing in Afghanistan. But at least we will be taking more time to see how things have developed since they arrived here. And many of the people will probably pass this vetting, but some of them will not. I think the lesson here is that certain populations in the world are higher risk than others, and we need to adjust our systems to account for that. We cannot just think that we can wave people in by tens of thousands, in a very hurried manner from a place that was at war with many people, expressing hatred for our country. We can't expect that, we can do that without certain problems happening.
And zooming out a bit here, President Trump has been calling for tougher immigration enforcement since Inauguration Day, but he's also voiced support for, say, H-1B visas. So how do you see all of this playing out?
Well, the president has expressed support for skilled immigration. These are people who have been identified by employers that have skills that they want to have available to them in this country on a temporary basis. And if they work out, then they can potentially be on a path to citizenship. But this doesn't affect the need to do proper vetting. I'm sure the president would agree that, we have to vet all applicants. We have to do a better job of it. And we cannot simply wave in very large numbers of people. And there are concerns about labor market impacts as well as national security risks of huge immigration programs. We can do a better job at making sure these visa programs are serving our national interest and not harming Americans. I think the president recognizes that. He wants to show that he is not against immigration, but it has to be immigration that benefits our country.
A lot at stake for sure here. Jessica Vaughn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, could water rival wine in Taste and Appeal? A food anthropologist explains why he traded his passion for wine for the surprisingly complex world of H2O. And incredible images of Earth captured by one of the newest satellites in space. Details on how these stunning photos are getting sent home in record time in just a minute.
My 15-year-old son, Ethan, and I had a fun and relaxing morning. We returned home, and Ethan walked to his best friend's house an hour later. I heard the ambulance scream by the street, carrying my beautiful boy. Ethan was shot in the head in his best friend's house with an unsecured gun. He had zero chance of survival. The father, the gun owner, he stored his 3 guns and bullets in a shoebox.
How do you feel?
That has to be the most horrific experience that a human could ever have.
David, would you give any advice?
First thing you do is not keep your ammunition with your weapons, and that your weapons need to be locked at all times.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. You're black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight.
Skylar, come here.
Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Could water ever rival wine in taste and romantic appeal? Vital Signs host Brandon Fallon interviewed a food anthropologist who found himself trading his passion for wine for the surprisingly complex varieties of water. A discovery that led him to a healthier and still satisfying lifestyle of fine drinking.
Well, it's wet, and I'm pleased it doesn't smell like the Hudson River. But what more could there possibly be to it, right? Could water ever have enough character, complexity, and backstory for you to swap it for your favorite Cabernet Sauvignon or Pinot Noir? It's hard to imagine, but today's guest has done just that. Once a wine connoisseur with 500 bottles of wine in his cellar, Michael Masha is the last person you'd expect to trade wine for water.
I had a huge wine collection. I'm a food anthropologist by training, which means food and wine was always very important to me. Wine was really something to enjoy, to share, to discover. All these Epicurean things around the wine was what I was interested in. And now that was removed. And I looked at the other bottle I never looked at before, which was a water bottle on the table.
Michael joins us to share how he became a water sommelier, advising restaurants on fine waters as opposed to fine wine. He also reveals how not just his health, but his appreciation of food and quality time with family and friends have escalated through water. Welcome to Vital Signs, where we look at how to get healthier from all angles, from the biochemical and nutritional to the things we do that nourish our minds and our souls. I'm Brandon Fallon. Michael Masha is the author of Fine Waters, described as an encyclopedia of water by the London Times. His PhD from the University of Vienna is in anthropology and communication science. Michael, welcome to Vital Signs.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to have you on because this is a subject that I think we're both passionate about. I really have a deep appreciation for water. And I actually brought a sample from New Jersey I've got here today just to get your visual impression of that. I tampered with that a little bit, admittedly. But it's probably not too far from the fact of it. I see some very colorful, very attractive bottles of water behind you. What kind of water is that?
Thanks for your interest and thanks for having me on your show and showing interest for water. The waters you see behind me are waters from a natural source. Those waters have terroir. They come from a particular special place. Those waters, hold experiences, and those waters can give wellness. And unfortunately, many consumers are confused. They just look at the bottle and don't realize they're actually two very different products sold in a bottle. One is a natural waters, the waters you see behind me, and the other one is processed water that comes from a factory. So two different products that we call bottled water. You have me here today to talk about the waters that come from a natural source.
Are there any particular waters that you have there that you'd recommend sitting there behind you?
I recommend every one of them. It's just a problem that you will not find it because they come sometimes from very remote places and they're not globally distributed, but many wines and other things are sometimes very local, unfortunately. But you have to keep in mind, we think water always comes from a spring, but there are so many more sources than springs. Water can come from an artesian source, which is a source that's under pressure and the water emerges by its own pressure. Some of the waters come from icebergs, from glacier. Some waters come from rain. So many different sources that create different experiences with water.
And that sounds a lot more exotic and a lot more interesting and probably a lot more healthy than what's on offer in many of the places that we go to in the cities that we live in, to restaurants, to diners, even in the schools that our children are attending. There just isn't really water on offer, or the water that is on offer is tap water. In my experience, that isn't always the best tasting or the healthiest. I want to get into that later, I want to find out what the alternative option is for that. But first off, you were a wine connoisseur, and somehow you've swapped in water for wine. And can you just give a snapshot of how that's come about?
Well, I didn't do it. I was just like the catalyst. So I had a huge wine collection. I'm a food anthropologist by training, which means food and wine was always very important to me. And about a little bit more than 20 years ago, I had to stop drinking wine. This was kind of really a cataclysmic event because the wine was not there for getting drunk. If you really wanted to have that, there's always a bottle of vodka in the freezer, and that gets you quickly there without the calories. But wine was really something to enjoy, to share, to discover. All these Epicurean things around the wine was what I was interested in. And now that was removed. And I looked at the other bottle I never looked at before, which was a water bottle on the table. And I thought maybe I can apply all my interest in the Epicurean wine world onto water. And this was 20 years ago. And for the next 10, 12 years, no journalist wanted to talk to me because it sounded like a crazy idea. But we have changed the world and the perception of water a lot. And right now, you're talking to me. Many things around the world point towards the direction that water is no longer water and is accepted on the table at the same level as wine.
To see that full interview and others on how to optimize health, go to ept.ms/vital signs. Vital Signs offers general health information not intended as medical diagnosis or advice. Please consult your doctor before undertaking a new health regimen.
Questions over the Autopen back in the spotlight. President Trump on Friday said he's canceling all executive orders signed by his predecessor via the Autopen. Well, the U.S. government has used Autopen since the Truman administration. A congressional panel raised questions over the use of the Autopen during the Biden presidency on whether Biden authorized all the signatures. Joining us to unpack this and what could come next is Rod D. Martin, founder and CEO of Martin Capital. Rod, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you here again. Now, President Trump saying up to 92% of the executive orders signed by President Biden could be invalidated if it was found that they were done by the Autopen without President Biden's knowledge. Now, Biden has denied that he was unaware, saying in a statement over the summer, quote, "Let me be clear, I made the decisions during my presidency. Any suggestion that I didn't is ridiculous and false." How likely are we to see these overturned? That could be anything from executive orders to legislation to pardons.
Well, the problem is that even Joe Biden has admitted that some of these were done without his full knowledge. And of course, we got into this when we had special counsel Hur refuse to prosecute him for his improper use of classified information on the grounds that he's basically a senile old man. Well, you can't have it both ways. So here we have staffers apparently using the Autopen to sign major pieces of whether it's an executive order or a pardon, and doing so without the president's full knowledge and consent. That's clearly questionable. You've got to start somewhere, and that's where President Trump is starting, with this presumption that they are false, and then going from there. I'm sure there will be plenty of litigation about all of this, but what it does not affect is legislation or appointments. We know that these appointments were legit. They are absolutely Joe Biden's will. Likewise, legislation, even if he didn't sign the legislation, failing to veto them means that they automatically become law 10 days after they're presented to the president. So that's not on the table. What's on the table is executive orders and pardons, and this opens quite a can of worms for a lot of people and a lot of agendas.
And digging into that, there was a congressional inquiry into this by the House Oversight Committee in October, with a House panel requesting the DOJ to probe the matter further. Now, in terms of next steps, could we see President Biden's aides or staffers investigated?
There's a real possibility of prosecution here. If anybody was using the Autopen without the president's authorization, and I do mean express authorization, not just some general hand waving, hey, I want such and such to happen. He's actually got to have authorized it. That's Article 2. If he didn't, then they committed forgery at best. And it may be worse than that. So they need to really lawyer up and get ready for the DOJ to come for them.
And what role do you see Congress playing in all of this?
I think the oversight function has been quite effective so far. I suspect that we'll see some criminal referrals from the committees. They have done actually yeoman's work on this, which is more than I can say for the Department of Justice during the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. Merrick Garland was certainly not a senile old man. He wasn't doing his job. He wasn't minding the store. And all of the people who staffed that DOJ have some answers that they're going to have to give.
And Rod, I want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about some of the changes we've seen so far. Now, both administrations spoke about holding the Chinese regime accountable, but have differed in their approach. American Thought Leaders host Yanya Kellick actually sat down with FBI Director Kash Patel recently. I want to play part of that and then have you react.
The Chinese Communist Party has not lived up to its promises, whether written or verbal. How can you be so sure that this agreement will be honored by the other side?
I think there's a couple of factors in play. One, President Trump and President Xi have struck up a relationship that is continuous, ongoing communications to work with each other on a multitude of issues, to include tariffs, which is not my wheelhouse, but it's all interrelated, right? The fentanyl tariffs, it's no surprise, were issued by President Trump because too many Americans were being killed. And they worked out an agreement where they said our agencies are going to meet and make sure that there is no more fentanyl precursor flowing into the drug trafficking organizations, ultimately America. The relief they received was a tariff relief. And I believe because the Chinese government wants additional tariff relief and that tariff relief to maintain, they are going to have to come to the table and continuously show the results with us. And that was part of my agreement with my counterpart at the MPS. We are going to continue to work together. This wasn't a one-off. If I got to go back, I'll go back. But we're going to show the world jointly that we've adhered to this agreement. And if there isn't, or they violate that agreement on this particular issue, they know the consequences from the president are going to be severe in terms of tariffs and other matters. And so it is a collaborative effort with sanctions also being applied by our partners in Treasury and OFAC designations. We've taken a whole of government approach to ensure that they're going to adhere to this. And if they don't, we'll be the first ones to call it out.
Your thoughts on this multi-pronged approach by this administration?
Well, Kash is going at it exactly right. This is just what Reagan did with the Soviets when he quoted the Russian proverb, trust but verify. The idea wasn't that we trusted the Soviet Union. It was that verification is necessary for trust. And if you verify things, then there's a basis to go forward. That's going to happen here. And this administration has no illusions about the CCP, which has broken every agreement it's ever entered into, much like its communist brethren in the Soviet Union. But bottom line, the Chinese desperately need the U.S. consumer market, or they wouldn't have agreed to the deal that we have in place right now, which places about 4 to 5 times the tariff on their goods as on ours. So we are already clearly demonstrating that the Chinese need us. They're going to need to comply on fentanyl. If they don't, Donald Trump is going to have no mercy.
Well, Rod Martin, as always, thanks for joining us. And for viewers who want to watch the full interview, they can go to Epic TV on American Thought Leaders. Coming up, incredible images of Earth captured by one of the newest satellites in space. Plus, the stunning images are getting sent home in record time. And one man's 27-year journey is almost complete. Back in 1998, he set out to travel the entire world on foot. Get the details on his journey in just a minute when we come back.
Picture this, the heart of Manhattan, full of energy, movement, and life. Now imagine bringing that same vitality into your home, with trusted health insights for your body, mind, and soul. Every week, Vital Signs dives into health issues that matter the most. The foods that strengthen your immune system, the exercises that keep you moving, the mindfulness practices that calm your mind, plus expert advice from doctors and health leaders you can trust. This isn't just another health show. It's real insight designed to keep you informed, inspired, and in motion. So whether you're starting your day with focus or winding down with balance, Vital Signs brings health and vitality straight into your living room.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings. Regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. How about our My Towels? They're finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and the only time ever, get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
Is deep-sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. One of the newest satellites in space is capturing incredible images of Earth and doing it in record time. Plus, scientists are scoping out underwater canyons in Argentina, and a group of surfers is taking the ultimate cold plunge. Take a look.
Check out these fantastic new perspectives of our planet seen from sea and space. Starting from up above, rapidly returned images of Earth courtesy of the European Space Agency's new eye in the sky, the Copernicus Sentinel-1D satellite, such as this stunning view of the Tierra del Fuego, South America's southern tip, contrasted using multiple types of radar waves to showcase the land in yellow and snowy mountain peaks in blue. About 600 miles south, the Antarctic Peninsula in black and white contrast the ocean and the continent's icy landscape. The satellite launched in early November and started returning these stunning images within 50 hours, something the space agency says is likely a record launch to data delivery time for such a satellite. The Copernicus program is intended to supply night and day imagery of Earth's surface in all weather conditions for scientific observation, as well as aiding in emergency response and humanitarian crises. Let's leave space and dive down to the depths of the ocean off the coast of Argentina, where scientists are scouring underwater canyons to collect data and examine a wide array of marine life. The Schmidt Ocean Institute launching a variety of subaquatic tech to map 4 submarine canyons and study how currents affect the seafloor. Scientists plan to spend the next few months studying how those currents fuel plankton blooms, the base food in the area's robust marine ecosystem. Along the way, giving us a super cool view of some interesting critters that call the canyons their home. And if science isn't your jam, try an adrenaline rush like these guys surfing in the frigid waters of Lake Superior. With snow covering sandy beaches, these adventure seekers thought it would be the perfect time to throw on some wetsuits and catch some waves.
It's instant brain freeze as soon as you go underwater.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
A musician in New Zealand's Navy is practicing in one of the most remote locations on the planet. She's among 21 service members stationed there, and she's performing tunes for scientists on site. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the story.
French horn player Natalie Payne has never performed for a venue like this. The member of New Zealand's Navy has been stationed in Antarctica on a military posting since October. She describes the feeling of playing in one of Earth's most remote locations.
There's pressure ridges and seals, and it's beautiful and very inspiring. So I'll sit there by the window and I will do my routine and play music.
Payne learned members of New Zealand's military were stationed in Antarctica to support the work of scientists. She jumped at the chance to be deployed there.
And my eyes lit up and I was like, even a musician? And he's like, heck yeah, why not? And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, I could go to Antarctica one day. And the whole dream was reignited. That I never thought it would come true. I feel so incredibly blessed to be here. Scott Base, Natalie speaking.
Payne monitors radio, phone, email, and other communications at New Zealand's Scott Base. The musician plays by the window, the environment inspiring her.
There's so much beauty, and it's not tame either. Like, it's this wild, untamed beauty of the land around you and the animals as well. And it's so far removed from everything I've ever known.
Payne's performances have become a presence on Scott Base. She's provided live music for ceremonies and will continue to perform at the remote location until March. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
A single egg is expected to fetch more than $26 million at auction next month, but it's not from a dinosaur. Instead, it comes from craftsmen in Russia. This is the 112-year-old winter egg made by Fabergé in St. Petersburg, Russia. It's made of clear quartz, but that's not what explains its astronomical price. That's a matter of rarity. Fabergé only made 50 eggs for Russian Tsars Alexander III and Nicholas II. They were commissioned as Easter gifts between 1885 and 1916. Of those, just 7 remain in private ownership, but only 3 can be realistically acquired. This winter egg has twice broken auction records, first in 1994 and then again in 2002. You may have noticed the hand-carved flowers inside this egg. That makes it even more unique, as most Fabergé eggs have mechanical surprises inside, like a steam train or clockwork bird. The winter egg will go up for auction at Christie's in London on Tuesday, December 2nd. In 1998, one British man set out on an adventure with one goal: to walk around the entire world. Now he is on the final stretch of his 27-year-long trek home. Here's a look at his journey.
This British ex-paratrooper set out in 1998 to trek across the globe without using motorized transportation. 27 years later, Carl Bushby says he's on the final leg of his 36,000-mile journey, named the Goliath Expedition.
People said, well, you can't do that, and then the idea grew, the lines got longer, and eventually got the whole world.
Bushby has traversed the dangerous Darien Gap, crossing between Colombia and Panama, crossed the Bering Strait from Alaska to Russia on foot, and in 2024, swam across the Caspian Sea. Bushby says social media wasn't much of a thing when he started his journey, so photos of those early days are scarce.
Back in the day, there was no social media or anything, so there was no reason to take images and pictures of everything or film stuff. I had a cheap plastic Instamatic camera with rolls of 35mm film, and every now and then we'd get some pictures because we'd send them home for the newspapers for an update. But that was the top of it. We never took it seriously, which is a real shame now. But back then, that was the least of our concerns. It was about survival.
He says he resisted TikTok until this year, and that it's added a layer of pressure because more eyes are on him. Reuters caught up with the 56-year-old explorer in northwest Hungary. He expected to complete the globe-spanning trek in 8 years, but says global events caused delays.
The obvious one being the pandemics and wars and geopolitics, like we're trying to get permission to get into Iran and things like that, was all stopped because the geopolitics fell apart right at the wrong time.
Bushby says the monotony of seeing some landscapes for days on end, such as deserts and the Arctic, sometimes feels overwhelming.
I'm here because that was my choice, right? Yeah, it gets a bit miserable.
He expects to return home by September or October 2026 and start on something new.
Best way to deal with finishing something like this is starting something new that's very challenging and get busy as quick as possible.
The Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Utah had an October surprise when a great horned owl arrived covered in concrete. The owl had taken a tumble into a concrete mixer at a nearby construction site. Now the sanctuary is working to help the owl regain the strength to fly again.
The owl came to us through a phone call from the Department of Wildlife Resources, who picked up the owl from someone who found it in a concrete mixer at a construction site. When we got the owl back to our rehab center, we found that he was quite covered in concrete, dried concrete, and it was primarily on his right side, but for the most part, his entire body had some concrete within it. So the long-term prognosis for this guy looks really good. We do need to wait until he molts and gets in healthier feathers so he can fly silently, but we expect that to happen late next spring, early summer. Once our owl friend recovers, we anticipate taking him back to near where he was found, not on the construction site, but somewhere that is a natural habitat for him, and release him and let him be.
While the owl arrived at Best Friends' doors at the end of October, the sanctuary is unsure of the circumstances that caused the owl to stumble into the mixture. The owl is believed to be a young male due to his size and is the first case of its kind the sanctuary had seen. The staff's first concern was ensuring the owl's airways were not blocked. After a handful of daily baths with Dawn dish soap, they removed the concrete completely from its body. Now the owl is continuing to recover in a flight aviary. The great horned owl is a silent flyer, which helps it hunt its prey, but the cleaning process frayed his feathers. The sanctuary will not release the owl into the wild until it sheds its current feathers, which is expected to happen around late spring or early summer of next year. Best Friends Animal Society cares for hundreds of animals at any given time, including dogs, cats, horses, goats, pigs, and bunnies, along with birds and wildlife. And that's all for today's news. For on-the-clock coverage, visit us at ntd.com/live or download our NTD app. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Good night.
That truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. See it at least once in your lifetime. Shen Yun. Get tickets now. ShenYun.com.
This is Pho-licious. Now, what is pho? It's an authentic Vietnamese noodle dish. The Pho-licious chicken pho brings the comforting, aromatic flavors of Vietnam to your bowl, and Mama Thu's signature spice blend. Well, this chicken pho is as close to homemade as it gets without the wait. Some cubed chicken, a little lime, and then the magic moment. See you soon, my friends.
Pho-licious is now available at your local Walmart or walmart.com.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out, and I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're gonna benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.